the first bit of it, we'll just start with the basics in case anybody's not comfortable with Explorers at all. And basically, they are either all in the Business Insights area, or I always just launch them. You can get this whole long list. I like to just launch them from the area I'm in. So something like accounts receivable, we have Explorers under Insights Explore. We have Explorers for customers, salespeople, customer classes. Be surprised if anybody has a long enough list to need to look at that. Invoices, payments, and within those there are also additional ones you can drill down to. Payment applications, customer details. Hello. So I was just starting in to whoever's joined us, and definitely feel free to ask questions. Let me know if you can't hear me, things like that. My usual problem is I start speaking too quietly, so I'll try to watch that. So just for grins, we'll go into the Customers Explorer. You may be using ones from different modules because, but most everybody has customers in the system. So that's why I picked this. And the first thing you may notice is it might look a little different and white versus gray. If anybody cares to, you can go into your Windows application backgrounds and change the color. I started doing this when the Explorers first came out because when everything is gray and you look at this screen, it's pretty spooky. And I've discovered that when it's white, it's just easier to look at. So when you originally launch an Explorer, depending on settings, everything is going to come up. This may not be what you want. It might be okay on your customer list. Invoices, there may not be that much activity, maybe way too much activity to sit there and watch it spin. So one of the first things I suggest, and I'll show you how to do it for everywhere later, is to go into Options, see where it says Load Data at Start, and turn that off. But my little demo data here, I can get by. First section, we're going to ignore the preview panes, and we're just going to work with our selections and our initial grid here. If you aren't seeing all of these when you open it up, be sure and check your views. You may have unchecked navigation pane, unchecked the views down here, things like that. Pretty easy to get these off. Also, if you hit these little buttons over here with the auto hide and the allow to float, you can end up with stuff floating all over the place. If you get frustrated enough, and I do, we have a little script here at ISN we run on the back end to reset you out of the box. It doesn't lose any of your data or your settings. It just gets rid of the saved settings for the whole desktop, which you'll see, or the whole Explorer screen. Anyhow, and then you start looking, and we've got all these menu items, all of these little icons. You right-click, and you get more things, and it's repeat. It's the usual thing that, you have all of these up here on the menu. Almost all of them, they're going to be little icons. All the ones you use a lot, you're going to want icons. But you don't have to have them. So if we go up here and we go to, I was showing you with Options, Load Data at Start. You can come down here if you prefer the icons. Go to Options, Load Data at Start. Assume you all have figured out that if you hover over little icons, you get an explanation of what they are and a hotkey if you want. So anyhow, so I've pulled up all the customers, and the key thing to be comfortable with are the filters up here, how we're choosing things. And if, let's say, I am looking for a customer that I know has the name lumber in it, I'm going to go in here. We're going to ignore that maximum rows to return right now. It's going to show every single field in this whole Explorer, all in alphabetical order. So you're going to want to go in and say, okay, I want a customer. Ooh, I have customer. Well, they're always trying to come up with these little simple names that fit in. Customer is customer name. Cust is the cust ID. And if you're not sure, your title bar here is going to tell you which one they are. So you can go in and say customer. You could do it as equal to. On something like this, I'd go contains. Hotkey if you put in a C to jump to contains. And I'm going to say lumber. And boom, there's my one customer with lumber in it. And here's all my basic information. Credit limit, balance, highest balance. Goes on and on and on. And if I don't like that, delete it, clear the filter, refresh. And quick trick, F6, the function key, is the refresh, so you don't have to try to remember this Control, Shift, and R. I can't do 3 keys. So anyhow, we can do basic lookups like that. We could look for everything that has a salesperson. Now here's one of the tricky ones because I'm trying to guess which is the salesperson. Sometimes you have to play with it. One's a salesperson name, one's an ID, but either way, I know I want all the salespeople that start with A. Jump, I've got my salespeople. Or if you don't have a long list, any one of these fields you like, you can sort on. You see the, I'm not sure on your screens if you can tell, but there's a little teeny thing that says customer there. And right now it's sorted by customer. Right here I can sort by salesperson. And then I can get all that information. And it gets you some, maybe you don't care about average days to pay or highest balance. You can rearrange things so that we can go here, customer, I'm just clicking and dragging that over. There's my contact, and there's my payment terms. And then I've got the information in that order. And let's say I wanted, one of the things that may not be obvious is any field that has a number in it, you can get a total. And, some of them aren't going to make much sense, but that you just hit this enable summarization. You'll see all the little sum signs on every column. And obviously, an average days to pay sum wouldn't make a lot of sense. Balance would. I've got a sum or average. Now, an average days to pay, I could do an average of an average. You may not see anything. It's because they're doing the accounting routine and putting the totals on the bottom. Totals are there. They're just not real obvious. So there we got that one. And then there's another extremely little useful icon, this one, enable grouping. And what it does is you can then essentially get subtotals. So if I go enable grouping, when that's on, you're going to see drag a column header here to group by that column. It'll actually tell you what to do. So I can now group by my salesperson. And right here, all of a sudden, I have by salesperson, Alfred Tabasco. We've got, wow, That looks like 89 million in receivables. John Smith, 119,000 in receivables. You haven't lost your detail at this point, but you just click on the little plus sign. So you can look through and say, well, these numbers look pretty odd. Let me see what the details are. Okay, maybe Jeff Defoe is gone. Why do we still have invoices with his name on them? And here are your invoices. So yeah, we can dig into those and things, but we're putting that off. So now what I'm really going, something like the customer, there are a lot of other fields out there besides the ones that show up out of the box. And in order to get to those, you want to go to Edit Columns. I can go in here and say, I don't care about any of this information. Let's make this easier. Maybe I want contact email. It's kind of interesting how they choose what to show and what not to show. You can see there are way too many fields in here out of the box. And we don't have some of the best. So on this one to remember is I'm going to check the aging date, and you'll see why in a minute. Remember aging date. The little field down here that says current, which is the current balance. Oops, I don't want to do that one. Other one's game. Here's the over 30 days, over 60 days, over 90 days, 120 future. Get my refresh, and all of a sudden, I not only have balances, I have myself a quick aging report. I could rearrange those in the other screen, but we're just going to do it here. So I can real quick look through and say, these are the people I have over 120 days. Now, the reason that I included that aging date is on something like customers, since this is a quick lookup screen, it's going back sort of like with the customer status and just pulling up the current, what the current buckets are. It's not totally live. So what you want to make sure is, and you can either do it yourself on a regular basis. We have customers where we just set up so it runs every night for them, but there's an age customer account so that you want to keep that current. So these numbers are based, this is demo data, so I don't want to change it. These numbers are based on 2008. And what we really want is to have that current, except with demo data, because then everything's going to be over 120 days. So now I've got something that I can actually work through and see. Let's say I wanted to start out by finding all the customers with an aging over 120 days because I wanted to work with them. So we want, I'm not even going to just do 0. I'm going to say, it's $10. It's not worth my time. It's probably just an error or something. Over 120 days is greater than $10. Oops. Keep myself up there. And there, real quick, I've got my customers that I need to follow up on. And so if they're at 120 days, oh, we have open quotes for them. That's not good. Okay, so we've been looking at this main screen here, this area. Down below, the lower pane is also extremely useful. And what shows up here is based on which line you're clicking on, up above, so there are no open quotes for them, and also what you're choosing for the preview pane. So if you're sitting there looking at, who are our open customers, you're probably more interested in the open invoices. So that as you look through these over 120 days, you've got more information. So it's this Aldebrand, it's Alfred's the salesperson, so we need to pull him in. We have all of these open invoices. Do we have any memos? You might want to put memos in. And right here, there's a memo added to the customer that says, yes, we've got issues. And that they promised us a check, which hasn't shown up. So once you got something set up like this, you can go in repetitively, or maybe you want anything over 90 days is greater than $10, or over 60 days is greater than $30. In these columns, I can add a calculated column, this calculated add column here. So if I wanted to have a new column instead that was total of over 60 days, put that in. You just select the fields you want to add. And I have to keep working my way down through this long list. Where's my... Okay, it was there a minute. Oh, there we go. Because they're in order by what's in here. Over 60 days plus over 90 days plus over 120 days. Oh, well, I got to say insert again. It's going to tell me when I'm wrong. Total of over 60. I say OK. And what have I done to myself? I'm going to have to shrink this down a little bit because I can't move it. Ah, my filter. I was illogical with my filter. We want these to be ORs. Because I want they're over 120 days or 90 days or 60 days. And now I have these, and I have my total number here. Now, you're definitely not going to want to sit there and go through all this setup every time. That is slow, frustrating. You know what you want to look at. You want to look at the same things every time, or something pretty close. So what you want to do here is you've got this Save Settings As, and you can save it over the standard, but you probably want a variety. So I want something for aging, and I might even want it as the default. And we'll show you this display one also in a minute. Okay, so now I've got my choice. I can run my standard when I come in, or my for aging. Here's all my quick information, my totals. I can work right here. And now that you've gone to all this effort and setup, well, there's an even easier way. It's try to convince somebody else to get good setups for you. Because while I'm setting this up, I'm saving it for me. These are my standards and my agings. But if somebody else has already been through this, you can go to its Settings options, and there is a Show All Settings. And I can look through the list now of everybody's, and it's going to have the name of their settings and whose they are. And look, Becky's already got a quick aging. So she already had one set up, and I didn't even have to do this. Now, I can't change that setting because that's somebody else's. We don't mess anybody else's up. So there's no save there. But there's a save as, and it's now in my list. So you can see I've already got 3 of these. Okay, so that was just within this, the power of this section right here. And then we showed you a little bit about the preview panes. If you're not seeing this, this is the navigation pane. And you really can make it, some people actually can make these, run these from the drop downs. I kind of like them right on the screen, and definitely for showing what we're trying to do. So we're back to having all of our customers with the layout balance current over 30, 60, 90. So now we want to dig into more of this information. We can go to this customer. We've got open invoices. There's our open invoices showing down below. There's Collier & Sons open invoices showing down below. And maybe this is the layout you want on your open invoices, maybe not, but you can drill down further on any of these. And if you hadn't guessed, I'm on the latest version, 2013. So there's some things you may not have on your customers, like contract pricing by item. There's some new explorers that they've brought in. Don't seem to have any data for them, though. So then if you need to dig down further, you're going, wait a minute, what is this $41,000 invoice? So I can click on that, and you can either double-click or go to Explore Invoices. And what it's doing is it's just popping up whatever invoice you're looking at into the top pane, essentially. And so there are your invoice lines down below. Or if there were any payments on it, there'd be invoice applications down below. But since this hasn't been paid, that's not going to show anything. So you can check it out. Back button gets you right back over there. The other thing you might go is, okay, I've got, let me see, I like that Collier one. Let me get back to that one. Maybe I need to get this list of invoices to somebody. Or, well, we won't do that. Let's go back to our quick aging. Let's say we had this aging, and these are supposed to be, well, okay, there's a good one. Let's say we needed to send this on to somebody or to do some further analysis. There are several export options. You can either do them from up above, or I do the right click. So I've got these customers. I've got them maybe organized by that or organized by amount. I'm going to right click on them, and you will see export options, export to Excel, and you really want to use data in the grid. If you use all data, you're going to get every column, whether you wanted it or not, and they'll all be in alphabetical order. So we're going to do the data in the grid, and boom, you've got it in Excel. You can manipulate it. You can do whatever you need to with it. And some of you may not be on, I think it was 7.4, version 7.4 that they did this, that added the data in the grid because everybody was getting so frustrated with this all data, which even I'll do it, it's probably just going to hang on me. But what you could do before that, so you didn't get everything and then have to mess with it, is if you just do select all, do copy, and paste. So yeah, even in the older versions, it wasn't quite as slick as the new version, but you could at least get just the data you wanted.
Becky, can you do that again, Becky? Sorry. This is Tony.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Hi, Tony.
Hey.
No problem. I'm glad to have some feedback. I
know,
wondering.
This is a question I had asked you when you were here, so if you can do that, just to export, please, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
So they can do it either with hotkeys, Control A, or you can just, no, it's not doing it. If you right-click and either Control A or select all, so it's all shown, whatever, all highlighted. And then if they're over in Excel, it's just a standard copy or copy-paste. I'm going to just do a Control V because I'm there. Oops. Actually, I left out a step there. Because I still had it in my clipboard there. Okay, so I've selected all and then copy. And then just, standard paste up there, any standard Windows commands for copy paste. And then if you want quick formatting in Excel, select it all. If you double click between the A and the B, it'll make all your columns the right size. So,
are there any buffer limitations on the number of records?
Definitely when you do the right-click export, the only issue that you might have is I've seen pulling out thousands of rows. Beyond that, it starts getting a little bit slow, but the only technical limitation is depending on your version of Excel, the number of lines in Excel.
Or possibly your computer's memory?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're looking at more than a few thousand rows, you're probably fine. Beyond that, you want that in, you probably want to figure out a different way to do it, or do it in chunks. You might be waiting a while. So, but yeah, it makes for a very easy way to, yes, the data's in the system, but there are always these things you want to manipulate even beyond what you can do in here, send to people who aren't on Mass 500, anything like that, you can do with these exports. So, I mean, you could even do a real quick aging, so like Collier and Sons, if we went down to explore invoices, and right now it's going to invoice is equal to, so we could change that to, where's my customer? I have to guess the first one. Begins with COL. I could get all of my invoices for this customer. The other thing you may be noticing is, when you're down here, it's coming back. I'm back to open. Your layout here may, in the bottom pane, may be what you want, may not be what you want. Maybe you don't even use salespeople. So if I've gone in here and changed this to, where's my salespeople? To remove my salespeople, maybe we don't do discounts. And you probably want to clear the filter too. And save this as my standard. Then when I'm over here and selecting open invoices, it's going to be whatever your standard is. Actually, whatever your default is. So that if I whichever one I click that uses default as is the one that will be used. Okay, so you can, my two favorite parts on this left-hand pane are the previews. I can be looking at whatever open, closed applications, and the manage. When you're down here in the manage, let's say I'm using this fern aging, and I am looking at customer Aldebrand, and yeah, we definitely need to call them right now about these invoices, and I want to make notes. I can go from here straight into customer maintenance. And right away, I'm in Aldebrand. I'm not digging through and having to re-enter the information just by one click. I can go in here. I've got my telephone number, my email address. I can go add memos in. They've added one. We might need another one. It says payment again. Call today. Probably want to put more than that in, but just can't be too fancy. I go back to my customer now, and I go to my active memos. There's the memo, call today. So, I mean, this one little Explorer screen plus the notes, you've got a mini collection system going here. Or, if you have the sales order module, I know some people just have accounts receivable. They don't have sales orders. If you're looking at this customer, if they're on the phone and they want to put in an order, I can click on Enter Sales Orders, and it's going to jump up right away and create that sales order for me. Won't put in lines, but it's going to give you the number, and it's going to put in your customer for you. So it's the whole thing that there's a lot of context in Mass 500, so that how do you get to something? Well, where are you right now? Because you might be able to jump there faster. The drill into is actually pulling up the same type of Explorer views for anything related. So if I wanted, instead of going down here, if I wanted to go open all the brand invoices, I can go drill into. And there are all of my invoices for Aldebrand. And then I could cut them down as needed. And I could see my applications. So these are another fast way besides going from the preview pane to get around. And analyze, yeah, we'll look at the analyze a little bit later. Maximum row to return, you probably want to use this if you are, let me go back to the standard, if you have large volumes of data and you're not really sure at this point what you're looking for, then this is your fast way to say maximum rows to return is equal to, and this is just, I think that's 7.4 release. And probably doesn't translate real well to your screens, but down at the bottom in red letters, it's results restricted to 20 rows so that you know you haven't pulled in everything. So, preview pane, drill into manage tasks, analyze, these are pulling up they're like the Explorers, except instead of preview panes, they actually have pivot tables and charts. Let me see if I can get anything. Well, we don't have a very good view going here with this customer, but let me see if I can get somebody with more. Oh, that's because they've got nothing out there. Let me try him. Okay, there we go. So You can see there's none of the preview pane, but you can do a pivot table that'll break down. And I don't know how far I'm going to get into these right now. We can if we have time. But they give full breakdowns by quarter, by date. You can rearrange the field. You can say, I don't want shift to state, but I want to add a field. Go. Field list. Maybe I want to add address name to my grouping. But I'm going to get too distracted on those right now. So anyhow, quick review. Your filters are up here. When you get your groupings, you want to stay. When you get the lookups you like, you want to save them. You can have multiple ones. Your little X, all it's doing is getting rid of a setting you don't like. It's not getting rid of any sort of data. You can sort, subtotal, grouping again. I'm going to show you that one again. We got anybody who does reconciliations here?
Yes, I do. This is William.
Okay. One of the best ones I found for that grouping is, like, if you've got a situation where your accounts receivable is not tying out to your GL and you're trying to find out what's going on, you're going to go with GL account transactions, and you're going to find, oh, that's really an ugly layout, but oh well. We're going to find the GL account, which, let's see if I can get an assortment here and tell. Cash received. Ooh, cash would be a good one too. Now I'm going to go for, where's my receivables? I think my segment 1 is equal to equal to 1100. Okay. And you're going to do it for your period. Now what you're going to do is you're going to put a total on your posting amount, and then you can real quick group it by journal type. You can real see, here's my cash receipts. Yep, that should be in here. Here's my sales journals. Yep, those should be here. Wait a minute. Who did journal entries to my accounts receivable account? So you can dig right into those. And they don't put them in the standard, but a couple of the best things in here are the, where'd they go? Posted by. And I'm looking for update date. Maybe I already have it in here. And create date, that's the two I want. So right here I've got who posted it and when. Also for GLs, it gets really useful where your balance sheet has changed. You know, your AP went up and you don't know when, so you go and you say, I want my AP, you know, with a post date of March 31st or prior and a create date of April 15th or April 15th or later. So that gives you a real quick what happened. So GL in particular, once you get in here, you hardly ever want to go to the real reports for anything, for any kind of analysis. Or view the reconciliations, the bug checkings. Overall things, and this is probably IT as well. Yeah, we'll go a different way first. Okay. Customers. And we'll do it for invoices. Okay, I'm in here doing an invoice for somebody. And I put my customer in here. I think you're all pretty familiar with the right-click functionality. So you've got your Explore customers. You've got previews. Now that's the exact same list we just saw when we were in customers. So let me pull customers back up real quick. So I'm doing a right click on it. So here's my same list. It's feeding off of those previews. So I can look at them. You can do a drill into, so I show all the invoices. And previews, explore customers. Didn't do the best one for that. Hold on a second. To show what's going to happen, let me go to invoices. Sorry, digression. So I have a layout here, and I put customer first. And I'm going to save as customer first. And display on Explorer bar, I told you we'd show you what that was. So now when I go in here and go drill into invoices, and well, it's got in too late, but it's supposed to be showing up there once I get rolling. I expect if I closed and reopened the form, it would work. So we'll try again, just real quick. I didn't save it. Drill into invoices. There we go. So now I have my choices of layout if I want to go digging in from anywhere. It's going to pop it up just the way I saved it with customer first. Let me go back in. One other thing I wanted to show you with this. When you go to these previews, this is also the layout in here is going to be your default layout. So, and especially if you're in the sales order area for like pick lists or shipments, it can be really useful. So if your default layout is invoice number, invoice amount, status, that is what shows up here. If you change your default to like we've got due date, discount taken, sales tax, maybe we don't care about any of those. So if I go in, let me see if I kept my invoices open. Okay. So we're going to get rid of, oops, that's not this one. We're going to get rid of discount, trade discount, sales tax. Let's say because we just don't really care about those. They don't happen that much. We save that as our setting. I go back to my preview, open invoices, and there's no discounts. So if you're using the previews, you still want to go to the Explorers to get yourself set up the way you want. So, and all that was driving right off of here. You've still got the same thing. Previews, drill into, analyze, and customer maintenance, manage.
Hey Becky, this is Tony.
Yeah.
So these are all to change your previews. You're doing it in the standard, all the standard Explorer ports. I'm assuming, right?
I was doing it as standard because I'm lazy, but
okay.
It's not the name standard that matters.
Okay.
I wanted to come into the customers and make for aging my standards. If I save the setting and use it as the default, which means the first one that comes up,
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Now, especially for the people who are looking at things overall, you do have some control over users and how they pull this data in, because if you have people that are regularly pulling in all the invoices and not bothering to filter first, what you really want to do here is under maintenance, there's a maintain business insight view. So if I pull up customers, it's going to, oops, darn, probably customer singular. Okay, I'll do the lookup. I'm lazy. I don't like to go to lookups if I can type it in faster. Okay, so here's our customer view and some information you can control for everybody, so that you can say, okay, when they call up customers, and I probably do this more like on GL transactions or something, you can say, set it so they can never pull it up and then wait for all 500,000 rows to come up. So you can control that. You can control this, because it really, if you have people doing this, then you're already pushing it on performance. It can slow things down. Just traffic coming over. You can change the name a little bit, but this will then set it for all users. No loaded startup. In fact, if you're determined, you can just go to the one table and set everything to not load immediately. These can also be used to change what shows up, what doesn't show up. I've found them a little bit clunky to work with, but you can do things like, say, find something reasonably safe. Customer reference number. You can get rid of that. I'm not even going to jump into it, because these are changing the views are simple and safe with SQL, and it's kind of an endeavor from here. Other than your basic allow load to start up and maximum rows. And even though it's not Explorer, on a related thing that I know a lot of people run into is when you're doing battle with lookups, it's just the same logic. And there's a maintain lookup views. I should explain what I mean by that one. You may not know. So if I'm in Enter Invoice, and I click on a lookup, the default is all the data comes up. When you start getting to 10,000 customers, then you're trying to hit that stop button so that you can control what shows up, and invariably you hit the stop button about the time it's turning back to search and you start it up again. So what you can do is I can go in here and find my customer view. Let's see, I think it's against customer view. Okay. Hopefully that's the right one. I can turn this load data immediately off, and it should resolve it for everybody if I pick the right view, so that from then on they get the chance to come in here and say customer begins with a, hit the search and go. Just whoever at your organization has control that can, like I say, for little short lookups, no biggie. For long lookups, it's worth changing that. That cannot be deleted. Who knows what I did there? Okay. So that was the, once again, save changes. No, I don't want to change that. That was all up in System Manager under Maintenance, maintain Business Insights views, and maintain Lookup views. Technically, I'm down to about 4 minutes, so I guess I should ask for questions, and then if you want me to continue for a little bit longer and show a few things, I can. But I want to make sure we get all the big things. Okay. We don't have any particular questions. That was a zip through pretty quick, but if everybody's comfortable, then best thing to do is go back and start playing. Okay. Change your Windows settings if you need to. This is where you go change your Windows settings. Windows color, basic, application background. And you really want to work on saved settings and options to steal other people's settings. The reason I don't have any there is because limited number of logins here. Yes, there's an export setting and an import setting, but when you can show all settings and steal it, not much reason to go to the trouble of exporting and importing